Hello there, how you doing? Jeff the Social Owner, abcbizsolutions.com for our weekly marketing tip for folks out there in the world of business. So as you know, there's plenty of businesses out there. You may be a real estate agent at a company. You may be an accountant. You may be a social media manager. You may be an IT consultant. You may be a lawyer. You may be a lot. Now, we meet a lot of folks at our networking events at Mass Professional Networking. And let me tell you, it's a hard battle out there. When you're building a business, there's always a combination of the cold outreach, the warm leads, hot leads. But all in all, it's a tough one out there. We all understand it. And there's a lot of people out there like myself that always recommend you, hey, you got to network, you got to network harder, you got to get out there. But at the end of the day, what do you think really is that step, that big march, that landmark step that you make? Is when you make a connection to a person in person. There's nothing like it in the world. Think about this. Now, if you're on LinkedIn and you get some cold outreach from someone, you don't really know that person. How far is that going to go? Or if you're on the other side, if you ever done a mass mailing, through an email campaign, but you've gotten very little or no return. It's tough. You want to save time, and of course, a mass outreach like that saves time because it's like you set up a campaign, you send it to your email list. It's maybe 2 or 3 thousand people, and hope for the best. Or you pick up the phone and you start calling people and you dialing for dollars, and you made 150 calls today. Maybe talk to one person. But really, in reality, and I'm going to say this over and over, it's nothing like the old relationship. Now, as a business, what's the best way to build a lot of in-person relationships all at once? Being a sponsor at a networking event. There is nothing like it because what you're doing is you have a place to showcase your product or service, showcase you as your own brand at an event of other professionals. There is really nothing like it in the world. It's almost like that, almost a mini mass marketing approach, but it's in person. You're going to a place where there are other people that are probably in your demographic that you could actually make a connection, a in-person, personal connection with somebody, and then eventually you ask them the right questions to identify if they're a quality prospect for your business. Now, just to I'm going to put my little plug here. I've been running Mass Professional Networking for almost 10 years now, and we do have on average 2 to 4 sponsors of vendors at our events every month. And I've heard a lot of great things from people who have been vendors at our events. Because why? Because they're at a networking event. They're getting away from the computer. They're not doing that cold outreach, which is, a lot of people even fear doing that. And it gives you an opportunity. So what does it really do? It increases your brand visibility, whether it's your personal brand or if it's your company or product brand, right? It kind of gets you out of the house. And I always say this, you're able to do some, community goodwill. I always say this is a goodwill approach where, you may be a vendor at an event or a sponsor. You may actually help, showcase the networking event, whatever it takes to, to build that partnership. You're doing some target marketing. That's a big one, right? So you're able to really identify who your target market is. At a typical networking event, you may have all walks of life, from the corporate person, professional looking for his next new job, to, like I said, a lawyer, real estate agent, a marketing, social media person, or an IT consultant, right? It gives you a good perception, consumer perception. People are motivated to check you out. When they walk into one of our events, usually we have the tables right next to our sign-in table. They're going to go to your table. Now, a little tip from me to give you, don't stand behind your table. Stand in front of your table so that way you meet people. Again, that face-to-face, one-to-one relationship, right? Lead generation. Events are great for lead generation. Just think about it. your product, your sponsorship, your product or service is getting in front of the attendees of the event as well as the members of the networking group. It allows you to reach your sales goals. It does. It's really, especially if you're hitting a quarter where you got to get some sales, there's nothing like being a sponsor at a networking event. And then, of course, there's the old business relationships. There's nothing like the in-person business relationship. When I go to events and I meet people, I always seem to build, to build a know, like, and trust with somebody in person, and they're going to want to do business with you. If you want to build a new partnership, a supplier relationship, events are a great place to find non-competing businesses. So if you're a vendor there, you're the only vendor that has that product and service at the event, chances are you're going to build a great relationship. And last but not least, the return on investment. There's nothing like it. Events are about starting quality relationships. And I'll say that again. You want to leave an event with a list of leads to follow up with, right? But remember, that follow-up is going to be a lot easier this time because you've met that person in person. They're not that random LinkedIn message that you get or that random email campaign that you get, right? You don't have to make one last thing with events and return on investment. Don't think you're going to leave the event making money. You're leaving that event to build long-lasting relationships. And let me tell you, that is why I always say events are the way to go. They are definitely the way to go. And hopefully in the future, we can work together and you can be a sponsor of one of our Mass Professional Networking events or other events. There are other things like small business expos that come around once in a while. But, give me contact me if you have any questions about which events work or which ones don't. All right, so that is our tip for the week. Are sponsorships worth it at business events? And I say absolutely yes. Have a good day. Jeff D, AMCBizSolutions.com.